Hey everyone, we are here tonight as certified ULA coaches who have just returned from ULA Palooza. Now, you may not have any idea what that is. I released a short video earlier on my page today, so you can go watch that. That'll give you a slight glimpse into it. But I think you're going to hear tonight some wonderful things from our ULA coaches and what they valued most from this weekend. And first off, we're going to talk to Coach Amy Franks, and she drove the furthest. She drove all the way from Phoenix and came in to Nashville, Tennessee. So that's like 24 hours of driving that she did. And we were so proud of her that she did that. And we were so happy that she had a car and could take us places when we were there. But besides that, Amy, what did you find so valuable from ULA Palooza this year?
ULA Palooza, I've known the ULA guys for a long time. I think I first met them in like 2017, and they are always amazing and they're always really insightful. And I always have lots of takeaways from getting to meet them and listening to them and going through the process. I've been through this process. I'm a coach. We go through it all the time. But I found most value in being in a room with 500 other people that were all there to do the same thing. It was just, the community was amazing. My probably number one thing, the thing that I wrote down to talk about tonight was when we talked about the ULA blockers of fear. And they said that danger is very real, but fear is a choice. And that kind of makes you think for a second. And then he said, when you were born, you will only have two fears, the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. So every fear you have in your life today is a fear you learned, and that means that you can unlearn it. And so that just keeps going round and round in my head, because everything, fear is such a huge blocker for everybody. We're scared to, just stand out in a crowd. Not me. I don't mind that so much. But we have fear of talking to people, fear of meeting new people, so many things that we're scared of. And for me, talking in front of people, I get super nervous. If you look back at some of my older videos, I talk really, really fast because I got to get it all out. I, want to make sure I don't forget anything. And I got up on stage at ULA Palooza, and I'm super proud of myself for that. And told everybody that was there what my ULA One goal is for the year. And I think I forced myself to do that, not just because we talked about fear as a blocker, but because putting it out there into the world for other people to hear, I think makes it more real. And so, talking about fear was my number one takeaway from ULA Palooza. I can't stop thinking about it.
That is fantastic, Amy. And I really heard that statement. It just resonated that the danger is real, but fear of that danger is a choice. And I think Dave and Troy also both said you've got to be ready to just, when you find out what that blocker is, you've got to go through it. Yeah. You can't avoid it. You can't go around it. You just have to go do it.
And your best life is on the other side.
And that's exactly right. Your best life is on the other side. And you folks that got up there in front of everybody and said what your, big dream was for this year, your ULA One, as we call it, I was so proud of you, as all of us were. So I just thought that was wonderful. Gina, what did you find the most valuable?
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Sorry. So yes, the community was amazing. I posted on my Facebook when I did my little recap. I said, do you know what it feels like to be unconditionally loved by strangers? And even though we've met these people through a computer screen, it was so cool to see everybody in person and walk up to someone and they would say, "Hey, Gina." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, hey." It was so cool to just hug everybody and talk to everybody about, everything we've all been working on. And they kind of know your story and your life and, all this stuff and how long we've been coaches. And that was so much fun. And just watching everybody, holding up their boards at the end and waving those around and the people coming up on the stage was really awesome. You have my board too, Amy. I got to get that back from you. I also think when we were going through all of the exercises, the most powerful part of the exercises for me was like the I am statements, because we go our whole lives being told who we are, and we never really think about who am I, and to step back and really say, like, who am I think is super powerful. And then when we, went through each one of the 7 F's of ULA, we wrote down what we want and why we want that. And it's so easy for us to say, "Oh, I want a dream life," or "I'm living my dream life." But so many of us don't know what the heck we want. And for us to actually sit down and do the exercise and say, "Okay, this is my time. What do I want in my life?" And write it down and feel it and get emotional about it. And why do I want that in my life? I think that is what was really powerful for me. And just being able to come back to the framework and work on it over and over and tap those plates and, just keep moving forward with everything that we're doing. And another part that really got to me was the gratitude part. I feel that I am a pretty grateful person, and I feel that I'm very blessed in my life, but sometimes I forget about that. And, just sitting down, he said, sit down and write everything you're grateful for. And I just started writing like different people's names and different things that have happened. And I actually I was crying through that, because when I think about stuff that I'm grateful for, it makes me cry, because I'm so grateful for those things. And it was so awesome. I bought my tickets for next year because I know I cannot miss it, because it was just that impactful in my life. And I love how they always tell us, we change the world by the way that we live. And when people see that, people, want to do it too. And that's what I got out of it. Loved it.
That is awesome, Gina. Just amazing things that happened. And I really appreciate you bringing up that powerful statement about, I am somebody. I am this. I can do this, over what you may have heard on the schoolyard or from your parents, that you are stupid. You are whatever. Like you cannot do things. And unfortunately, many of us find that those voices still play over and over, like on a soundtrack in our head. And replacing those with statements like, I am powerful, I am loving, I am a good person, is so refreshing to your mind and your heart. It really helps me to start replacing those things that I've heard before. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much for bringing that out. Rob, how about you?
Hey, everybody. So the community definitely was awesome, especially, sorry, my scratchy throat. After being away from so many people for, from March of 2020 and until this weekend, that's the first time I've been in the presence of 500 people in one room. And it's the first time in all that time that I've given free, I always freely give hugs, but it was like when you give another one, because it was just so nice to see people and hug people and have that connection that I know that we were all craving on one level or another. So the community, like, Gina said, and The community is awesome, and it is unlike the ULA community is unlike nothing I've ever seen or experienced in my life. The love, the willingness to help. When you think about all the people that traveled and all the things that people did or could have went through or whatever, and I didn't hear one complaint. Not one negative thing, which is pretty rare when you think about it. So I think we're all, this is about being heart-centered and about love. Anyway, but going back to the nuts and bolts, when Dave and Troy talk about that, this is not a secret. This is a framework. And it's really a framework to live our life. And it's not, you can't buy a pill. You can't push a button. Well, you can't push a button when you complete your action steps. But I mean, you have to do the work. And, when I really kind of was sitting back and evaluating, I wish I was telling, Colette, she does this in her school with her kids. And I wish when I was a kid, I had this. I wish I had a teacher that taught this. Because I was the opposite, like a lot of us. And I grew up, and I'm still working on the why, but hating goals. I didn't want to set goals. And I didn't for most of my life. So to have 2 days, and whether you're there or not, you can do this, to just take and really look at what happened this year, just what happened, no judgment, just what happened. Where do you want to go? What's really important to you? And this time, this is my second Ulapalooza, I really kind of sat back and really thought about what was really important, not what somebody would, because I think the first time I put some goals that sounded good. But this time I really was thoughtful about the things that I put down. Yes, and where you are, where you are today is not who you are. It's a great reminder. And the other thing is, and Gina touched on gratitude. For me, the gratitude part, my big takeaway was when David was talking about his nephew, Jared, and he just kind of threw it out there of things that happened in your life a really long time ago. How did they happen for you? And that was just huge for me, thinking about stuff that I'm going to be 56 in a weekend. There's still some crap that I'm carrying around from when I was a kid. And I had to really stop and think why did that happen for me, not to me? So it gave a complete adjustment of my in my mind of those situations, which in turn opened up a whole different realm that I had never considered before. And it doesn't take away what happened. It doesn't forgive the people. I mean, all that stuff it is what it is, but it just really gave me some context of how I could let go of some of that. So those are my big takeaways. And thank you for letting me share.
Rob, thanks for bringing that last statement up. I'm not sure that I caught that or not, so I really appreciate you bringing it up. And
you're welcome.
When Rob talked about this and Dave talked about it originally at Ulapalooza, what he's saying is, how did those things that happened in your past, how did they make you who you are now? And how can you use those things to actually improve who you are going to be in the future? So very powerful stuff. All right, finally, Colette has known what she was going to say tonight since before anybody else did. She's been rehearsing, and so I cannot wait to hear what she has to say. Colette?
No, maybe we should just play the recording of that because I'm probably going to lose it all over again. Oh man.
We're all here for you.
The emotions just at the event, like Rob said, are like nothing else you've ever experienced. I mean, I went into this going, okay, this is going to be cool. I don't know that I'll do this every year, but it's going to be awesome while we're here. But like you guys said, seeing people that you've seen in these little squares and you've watched and followed, to see them in person and to just hug them, that was so amazing. I probably gave longer hugs than I was supposed to, but I won't apologize for that. So, but coming back and just kind of reflecting of what did I get out of it? I thought of so many people, of who this would be good for, not just me. I mean, I was reflecting on me as well, but I do use a lot of this in my classroom, and it doesn't take much to tell a teacher story and I'm teary-eyed and whatnot, because I'm thinking of my kids as much as I'm thinking of my family and whatnot. But I want to be that teacher that's not necessarily their favorite teacher. That's not my goal. My goal is to be that teacher that they remember, that pushed them a little bit, always believed in them, and never let them give up. Because if they can learn to do those things in third grade with me, then they're going to be 25 steps ahead of everybody else. And, learning to love themselves for who they are and all their quirkiness and all their great qualities that they have at the age of 8 and 9 is an amazing gift. So many of my pep talks with my little ones on, they complain about, this kid called me this and this kid called me stupid and this, and I always look at them like straight in the face and just, but is that true? That is not true. You are an amazing person, and what they are saying has nothing to do with what you believe and what I believe in you. And that clears away like so much. It lifts so much weight off of them. And I just wish that, my classroom is a classroom that they can feel super safe in, and feel free to be who they are without any judgment, and that we can all love each other in there. So I think my biggest takeaway is just how much love there is out there. I mean, looking at these people on the screen here, I'm just sad we're not all together, because I just want to hug each one of you. I love being with you guys so much. Even though we're here in Arizona, we do this more than we get together, and it's just, the community is like nothing else. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely an emotional event for sure, but it's worth going through that whole process, and it's worth being raw in the moment. So I would say my biggest takeaway is just love.
Excellent. And just so you all know, my word of the year that I picked was love. And I'm going to be working on loving everybody even more unconditionally than I ever have before. And that's one of my goals this year, to do that. So each year at Ulapalooza, we go through this process. We figure out where we are now, not who we are, but where we are. Where would we like to go? So what are our dreams for our life? And what are those milestone goals that we can use to get there, to that dream? And then finally, we start mapping out what are the action steps that we can take, sometimes on a daily basis or a monthly basis, to help us reach those goals and live that dream life that we really want to live. And that's the simple 3-step formula that we talk about very often. So over 2 days, that's the process that we went through. And it sounds very simple, but as you heard everyone say, it's very emotional. And I've been through this process before. Rob has been through it before. And I went through it again, and I was just uncovering more layers of myself as I heard Dr. Dave and Dr. Troy speak, And I heard them tell stories I've heard before, but I heard new things about those stories. And they touched me in different ways. And I was peeling off these layers like an onion of finding where my emotions were. And I was quite emotional during several of the exercises that we were doing because I was thinking about my kids. I was thinking about my beautiful wife, Darla. I was thinking about all these friends that I have here on the screen with me and all the friends that I'd seen before on Zoom, but never, ever given a hug to before in a physical sense. And that community that everyone mentioned was just on fire with love for each other. Usually when you get a group of people together, there's some that are on the left and some that are on the right, and some are on this side and some are on that side, and some are tree huggers and some are meat eaters and all these different things. And I can tell you truthfully that I know there are people that were in that room who might fall into that category or, any of those categories. But this weekend was not about any of that. It was about each individual person. And it was about all of us supporting one another, each one another, no matter who they were, no matter what they believed, and supporting them in trying to reach their dreams and their goals. And there was a oneness in that auditorium. Over 500, 600 people. We were all doing the same things for our own lives, but we were also very interested in helping and encouraging and supporting each other. So if we could leave you with one thing tonight, I would suggest this. If you're looking for friends or a community that will encourage you and support you to take on the dreams and goals that you want to take on, not what your parents wanted you to do, what your teachers wanted you to do, what some vice principal told you should do, or some guidance counselor said you were good at, what you really want to do. And if you're looking for a community that can help you do that, you found it. So contact any one of us and we are happy to help you get started. We will sign off tonight with how we always sign off. Be grateful.
Oh,
Have
have a
Stay.
and come.
Make
Go
sure
get
to
your
relax.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening.
Bye.